Have to turn down a stream of Ord's Boards right now. Hey everybody, how's it going? May the 4th be with you. Today would be a day where in another timeline, in another reality, people like myself would be getting together, going out, having a small party or a get-together at their house. Hey, MDasterdly. Hold on, buddy. Let me get you a link here. Hold on, MDasterdly. Yeah, you're definitely invited for this. In another reality, we would all have the chance to get out and enjoy ourselves and do anything we wanted. Open Discord. Log me in. Log me in. Okay. We'd be getting together. We'd have people coming over. Some of us would be... Check your DMs and Discord there, MDasterdly. Hello, Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. We have a day where most of us would be ecstatic. Our childhood got so cool that they made an unofficial holiday, kind of like I really can't compare it to something like, imagine a holiday that you're not getting a day off for. There you go. So there's that. Wow. Anyway, so we have this day, and it's May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And may the Force be with you, because it was something that we all told each other on the playgrounds. We all slapped each other's hands or smacked each other's butts in the dugout before we went for that little league, that 30 seconds of anxiety. We get 3 pitches. Is this going to happen? Is this us? We get that. All right, I'm going to log out of Discord for a second. Too much activity on there, and that's what happens when you have 100 Discords you belong to because you're an idiot. So you have this piece of your childhood. This piece of your childhood grew and grew, and it wasn't even really big back when it was first released. It was big, yeah. You had toys and lunchboxes and merchandising. You had the greatest medium market from 78 to 85, pumping out new things all the time, and then it kind of went nosedive because you had the Ewok cartoon and Droid cartoon and the Ewok movies, and it was just not so much fun anymore. The age of the VCR was on us, and so all of us had bought or got a hold of a copy of it, and so we wore those tapes out. We wore those tapes the fuck out, and they re-released it. They would make it available to us for 2 weeks a year at the drive-through, or the drive-in. But Star Wars was what we grew up with, and then from like 86, it kind of just went away. And it didn't really go away because in 86, a little group called West End Games made a role-playing game based on it, and I always harp on it, but I'm going to tell you that RPG was really important for Star Wars. The reason why Star Wars needed that RPG so much was that it opened a door for new tech manuals and new heroes and new equipment to come out and allow people to get together and have their own let's pretend. We're no longer 8 or 10 years of age in front of the house on the patio playing like we're on Bestman with our action figures. Now we have a character sheet and a DM, and they're probably pumping out some cassette or record music because that was immediate at the time. CDs were not popular till about 87. You had somebody that would play the music, and it was kind of cool. It was like you were living the movie again. And in fact, the RPG was like going back to childhood. Hey, there's Dastardly. So, hey, how you doing tonight, Mr. Dastardly?
Doing well. Hold on a second here. Just muting things. I'm good. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you, and also with you.
I am more of a Sith man myself, but we'll save that for tomorrow.
It's understandable. It's totally understandable. I was just explaining how we had the toys, and the toys were really cool because you would get out of school every day and you would go play with the Millennium Falcon, or maybe you were special and you had the Death Star play set, which was a 4 or 5 story tiered item, and it was cool. But you would get out of school and you go play with that, or you might even be dangerous and take these to school and get
a mistake you only made once as a kid. Trust me.
One time.
Yeah.
Your parents
like,
let you know this.
Like $50 on this thing, and now it got broken the first 10 minutes of recess. You're like, I'm sorry. I messed up.
Happens. God. And that happened way too much to me. Friends of mine, they lost their stuff because they had no idea how to respect a toy. Yeah. Oh yeah, give it to Billy, the guy that has absolutely everything and no regard for anything. Those guys are Millennium Falcon into asphalt outside on a recess. Thanks.
Yeah.
But then in 86, we had the RPG come out, and so we kind of got back to go and play with that again. The Code of the Sith was always better than the Jedi Code. Just saying. That's an interesting, and I don't know enough about the EU. I wish I did. I wish I knew everything about the EU. I don't.
Well, unfortunately, I wish my friend of mine, Drew, I wish he was here because he knows everything that there is to know. And I think out of all the ones I've heard, the Gray Jedi, like they're kind of like the middle path. And what I've heard about them, I'd say they're probably my favorite because, you've got the Jedi and then you've got the Sith. And then in the middle, you got the guys that are kind of, depending on the situation, they'll kick ass if they need to. But I would say those guys were, from what I've heard, but they're probably my favorite.
Darth says, "Through victory, my chains are broken. The chains are the easy part. It's what goes on in here that's hard." And I kind of agree with that. I'll get to that link here. But in 86, they put out the RPG. The RPG was fundamental for Star Wars because it was a step for a lot of people to kind of make their own larger world. There was a lot of people at West End Games that made it. And then this little-known author, he'd done some stuff before. Timothy, let me get this off here. Tim Zahn. This guy, if you don't read Timothy Zahn books, but you like Star Wars, you are about to tap open a brand new world.
Right.
And to me,
as long as it's not a whole new world, because I thought you were going to break out into song and I was going to have to leave the stream.
If I break out the song, it'll be Slaughter Your World.
Oh, man. All right, hold on a second. All right, yeah.
It is Tim Zahn used the RPG books because they had a bunch of fandom and fanfic information in it that if you were looking for something to pad out your RPG and make the players feel like they were in an actual shared universe, the RPG had a lot of stuff in it that you would always have a chance to borrow a paragraph or borrow a character or borrow these 7 or 8 different starships. And Tim Zahn did that. And then he kind of expanded on it. He made a 3-book series called The Heir to the Empire in 91 and 92, I think. And it blew up the Star Wars novel universe, which had been tapped previously, but not to a great success like Timothy Zahn. And that was where the EU was given its big push. Did you ever read
Right.
those?
Most of the material that I had read involving Star Wars, I believe, were just a few novels and a lot of the compendium books, which were just based around starships, weaponry, and some characters. Like that was the predominant stuff because I knew there was an RPG, and we played it once in high school. It was a very unsuccessful run, unfortunately. But yeah, I was more I was intrigued with like the technical aspects of it. Um, yeah, so that'd be it. I did like the lightsabers, for example, and the different ships and the different blasters and that. So yeah, that's basically my take on it. But I did find the Code of the Grey Jedi if you want to hear it.
Okay.
All right, so there is no dark side nor a light side. There is only the Force. I will do what I must to keep the balance. The balance is what keeps me together. There is no good without evil, but evil must not be allowed to flourish. There is passion, yet emotion, serenity, yet peace, chaos, yet order. I am the wielder of the flame, the protector of balance. I am the holder of the torch, lighting the way. I am the keeper of the flame, soldier of balance. I am the guardian of balance. I am a gray Jedi. And I think that's pretty bloody cool.
I like that. The
The
Great
Angelus
Jedi.
Anthem.
That was mentioned in what? The Dark Empire source book?
I just
Empire
knew it's
comic?
relatively new to me. I only heard about it a few years ago.
And just
And
great in chat.
I think when it came to the Knights of Ren, and then I was like, oh, okay, so there's a bunch of new guys or new guys, and then I started looking back. My friends like, yeah, man, the Gray Jedi. These are the kind of like the middle path guys. You know, not all good, not all bad. It's like, all right,
They wanted to try to be realistic about it.
yeah, they'll be like like I said, they kick ass when they have to, but they're not going to be. Darth Bane deserves a movie trilogy.
You know, I would go with Darth Bane, but I would also say Darth Sidious needs one. And Darth Revan, of course. We could do an entire trilogy of movies just based on those three characters.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Exar Kun. Like, hey, so this is kind of how the resurgence of the dark side began. You know, like this character who if and I'm sorry, I haven't read this book in like 20 years, but if it makes if memory serves, he's the one who found kind of like went into this forbidden area and kind of unlocked the dark side of the Force, or at least an entity that was in prison there, and he sort of kind of became the resurgence of it. But anyone who knows better can correct me immediately.
Yeah, if we give a erroneous take, I'm not too big to where I can be like, I think I screwed up on this. Hold on, there we go. All right. Reactivate that. Not maybe a month ago, I went and I picked up, because we have a really good 9 Lives used bookstore just up the road. It's literally next door to a comic shop called Dragon's Lair.
That's excellent.
And that was where I picked up the Dark Force Rising, the Timothy Zahn Spectre of the Past, which that's further in the EU chronology. And then the last 2 Star Wars books they had were Vision of the Future by Tim Zahn, and then The Tales of the Bounty Hunters, which I'm surprised they even sold this book because it's in really bad shape, but yeah. It's a good.
Well, I mean, used bookstores, unfortunately, are, I mean, they're hurting. Like, I don't think I've seen a used bookstore in, oof, man, like a good dedicated one in about 5 years at least. Like, I mean, there's bookstores, but all of it's online now. Like, I mean, you can order books from them online, but there doesn't seem to be any storefronts left.
Where you live in Canada, are you guys? I want to get political for just a second. I apologize, but
It was inevitable.
Yeah, it always is with me, right? Did a lot of. We had probably about a fifth of the businesses here just shut down. They're gone. Are you seeing about the same?
I know we just got another lockdown mandate, which is for supposedly 2 weeks. So everything was open for a while, and now everything was kind of like limited. Like if you wanted to go to the gym or whatnot, like there were specific rules, and then there was a bunch of numbers that went like through the roof, and they're like, okay, so we're closing it down again. But as far as businesses go, I haven't seen too many of them shut down permanently. Like there's one, there's a hobby shop that's not too far, and they survived the first major shutdown. And I know that's that was where I was seeing the Shadowrun books. There's another comic shop that's they were open last I checked, but that was about 4 months ago.
Okay.
That's where I was picking up the new G.I. Joe comics and the new Ronin Ninja Turtles and all of that. So yeah, they were open, but they also they have like RPG books and video games, and so they're not just a comic book shop. Like they do have a lot.
Trying to develop the entire culture, which is okay.
Yeah, well, I mean they're kind of like a classic video game. Like you can buy, Game Boy games, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, like the whole gamut. Like they got it all, and they actually have a pretty decent selection. But again, I think that they were doing a lot of their sales online.
Okay.
Right? But I mean, they did manage to survive. And other than that, I haven't really noticed any major shutdowns.
I mean, I'm not going to accuse you of anything, but like most of the times when we interact, we're pretty much indoors. And so most people's perception of me is that this room or my previous studio, the other bedroom, was where I was pretty much existing 80% of the time. But I imagine that, like, you probably go out, you probably at least drive around every once in a while just to get your head clear or some cathartic exercise to do something. Because there's
I mean, I try to get out every day. I mean, that's like the main one. Like I do my exercises either indoors, and then I'll do like certain things outdoors, hiking. I head down to the river, meet up with my friend, and then we'll exercise as well. So again, checking out the coffee shops. So I mean, like the things are open in a very limited capacity, and I haven't noticed like some shops have closed down, but I mean like that was say like a sandwich shop and cafe that was located in the industrial area that maybe like a handful of people knew about. And so the owners basically just said, okay, listen, we're not even going to bother trying to keep it open.
Sometimes you win by losing like that.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, they're still trying, right? And again, the malls are open, and so it leads me to believe that the shops in there are open as well. And it's basically the same thing: mask up, 6 foot distance. Don't go around licking handles and other things like that. Like just try to maintain some civility and wash your hands. Basic stuff. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it in that regard. So
we don't have that much. Like there's a bar 1 major block away from me, and I say major block because it's on an arterial street called Babcock. It's Little Woodrose. And it's a good place to go if you're looking to score a girl or a guy in the medical trade, because most time when they get off work, they gravitate there, and then they wash themselves with a little bit of vodka or whiskey, and then they go home.
Yeah, I know people in the medical trade. That I can tell you, man. There's whole bars in my old the city where I used to live. There were by every hospital, there was always a bar with some medical terminology in the name, like whether it was the academic or, something like this. And afterwards, you always could see the doctors and the nurses there just hammering them back. I was like, yeah, like to good health. It's like, I don't think it works like that, but whatever.
To a stoic liver.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, they say that there's part of the virus lives in your liver. It's like, not in this liver, pal. Anything that's in there, I feel sorry for.
And so, like, they're starting to get more to the point here where I live in San Antonio, where the business owner decides what level of safety are you going to enforce, because we don't have a level of safety from a state level mandate.
Mhm.
Any federal items here or any public transit, it's forced to mask up. Try to social distance, but don't do that on a city bus. You'll not achieve it.
Mhm.
You're crammed in. But at like Little Woodrow's, no mask. What a burger. Now they force their employees to wear masks, but you, the consumer, no.
Don't have to. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
kind
the
of
same thing here. Well, I mean, everything for the next couple of weeks is going to be locked down, but it's basically the same thing. And it's in my opinion, I mean, it's pretty asinine, but whatever. Yeah, the
I
employees have to
agree.
mask up. The employees have to mask up. There's going to be, there's some plastic partitions between tables, only X amount of people in at one time. Grocery stores have to be at a certain percentage of a certain percentage of the permissible fire limit, like the amount of people that are legally allowed in the store. I think it's like 15% of that or something
Wow.
along those lines. So you'll have lineups outside, and then people going through, and it's slowed down pace, but I mean the parking lots are pretty much empty. Major outlets will be open, and that's it. And you can still go, like for example, a lot of the video game shops are in fact closed. Like what is the EB Games and theaters no go. So any chance they had of those getting in for a summer blockbuster ain't happening now, at least for the next 2 weeks. But yeah, not really much we can do on that one.
No, not really. Now we have North Star Mall, and you have to mask up over there, but that's just because that's how they want it ran.
Yeah.
We have an Alamo Draft House chain here, and there's 3 theaters within a quick drive. When I say quick drive, I mean between 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Alamo Draft House. All right. They're forcing you to mask up. They instituted a thing where for $150, there's like 400 popular movies from like 1975 to today, plus the current ones that are being released.
Right.
But
I thought you were going to say from 1975 to right up when they stopped being good around 2000, give or take.
Yeah. Well, like you can rent out a theater right now and get Big Trouble in Little China or Aliens or Field of Dreams.
I would like to state for the record that Big Trouble in Little China was the first movie I ever saw as a child, and it's commanded my top 5 list for my entirety of my life. I loved it. I still do. I can quote basically every scene.
Wow.
And Aliens, which I'm working on a video. That's going to be my next Frontline Sci-Fi video. Is
whenever you want to talk about that, I'll be more than happy to. If you want somebody to just kind of pair up with you on that, I'd be more than happy to do it.
Okay. Well, maybe I can send you a file. If you got me on the Discord, hold on a second. Here, I'll send you my email.
Okay.
And I'll send you a link to it's just one. God damn, I can't spell my own freaking name. It's been one of those days.
All right.
Boom. All right. So you shoot me your email and I'll send you a link. I've just got one quick snippet that I've, because I'm still in the clipping stage, but perfect. Alrighty. Look how we're rolling very, very originally. But yeah, I mean, that was my favorite movie. I mean, Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, man.
No, it doesn't. I've never seen a movie that left me as breathless the first 4 times I saw it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so airtight, man. Like it's just incredible that they never. Well, okay, so watching the making of, they basically said the beginning scene where Egg Shen is, he's speaking to the lawyer and kind of like, oh, I want to get your take on, what happened. And he's like, oh, you mean the truth? And it's like, that was originally that was originally going to be at the end of the movie, but then at the last minute, they decided, okay, we're going to put this at the beginning, and then it does the intro to, it's like a Western. The movie kind of feels like a Western. It's like, Jack Burton comes rolling into town.
It does. It feels like he came rolling into town on an unknown horse, or on just a bland horse, and they have him talk to a few people, and then he's playing cards with Wang.
Yeah.
And then he catches the bottle. And at the point where he catches the bottle, that was where my parents
starts going downhill.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it's and that was it. If you watch it with the commentary between Kurt Russell and
John
Carpenter, for like the first 30 minutes of the movie, they're just talking about their families and how, my son's the new hockey league started. You're like, oh, by the way, folks, the movie's really great. Like, it's funny to see the dynamic between them. Not even talking about the bloody movie.
The first act, they don't talk about Big Trouble in Little China. They are getting back together as friends, because it was the third movie they had done. They did an Elvis special. He did The Thing, and then he did Big Trouble in Little China. And so, he was always on his, Christmas card list, but he never really did much with John up until, 2000 or so. They started meeting more and more because John would, go out and do something, and Kurt Russell would accompany him. But they didn't really do much. They'd do a photo op.
Yeah, right.
And so the first act, if you listen to the commentary track, he's right. What he just said, there's not a single discussion about it. They make one comment where this movie was released during the summer of Aliens. And they both sound like a dog that's been kicked too hard.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that, and it's just, and I think Critical Drinker did a video about this not too long ago. And I think he also watched it again with Gary at Nerdrotic. And I was just like, yeah, man, it's like these guys, they get it. They're understanding. John Carpenter did not only all of the work, the filming, the directing, he made the soundtrack.
The music for it was
put it together. You know what I mean? This is literally every part of this movie I absolutely adore. I almost want to say, if you only had 5 movies you could ever, take with you on an island, I say, well, that's definitely one of them. But no matter how many times I've seen it, my absolute favorite, this was when I was just a little boy and kind of kicked off my interest in martial arts and all that other stuff. The street fight between the Chan Sang and the Wing Kong. They're just in this truck, and they're like, oh yeah, man, these guys, these Sing Dings, it's like the Chan Sing, do they got enemies? Wing Kong, and it's this dude with a freaking 3-foot machete and a red headband walking past. That was the best street fight filming I have ever seen. It's just, they charge into one another, the music's kicking, they're beating the ever-living shit out of one another, and then the 3 storms show up, and then that's when everything gets supernatural, and you're like, holy crap, what the hell's going on here? And you just have to have a soft spot for Jack Burton, because he's a totally rational guy. He's a truck driver, he's used to ABC 1, 2, 3, and now all of a sudden he's thrown into the middle of this freaking supernatural historical Chinese fight.
He doesn't want to ever go back to Chinatown.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, and it's just, he's the voice of reason of the viewer. He's like, what does that mean? This Lo Pan character shows up in the middle of an alley while his friends are flying around on strings, cutting people to shreds, and he stands there waiting for me to drive my truck straight through him. And he's just totally flipping out.
And Kurt Russell isn't even the main hero of the movie, because everything he does, it's up until a certain point at the end where the bottle, it's on the reflexes, comes back.
Yeah.
Up to that point, minute 125 or 128, Jack Burton is a audience character. What's going on now, Wang?
Yeah, exactly.
That's all he does.
They were mentioning that he's not even, like Wang Chi. I mean, he's like the main guy. It's about him. He's trying to get his fiancée back. Yeah, exactly. And it's, oh man. And what is that one? Howdy do, ma'am. Henry Swanson's my name and excitement's my game. He's got the glass on. It's like, what the hell is going on here, man? It's like,
And that scene, that was when he had just gotten a case of the flu. And if you watch that to where they put him on the couch, he is sweating. He's profusely just moist. He's got like his shirt, which should be in good shape. It's damp as hell. They filmed about 40 minutes and they're like, we're done. We're done here.
It'll work because it was raining outside, but I mean, he's just like, he's dying inside. I mean, that must be the shits, man. Like just like getting the flu, like anything, man. Like even just basic movement is it's a testament to how tough he is. And I know Keanu Reeves apparently, what was it? They were filming John Wick 2. It was either in part 2 or part 3, and he had a nasty case of the flu, and he still filmed for 8 hours, like in an intense fight scene. So infinite respect to you. All right, Mr. Reeves, wherever you are.
I need to watch the commentary tracks of that trilogy before part 4 comes out.
Yes.
I have all 3 of them on my Apple account, and I do that for a reason, because I use my Apple account probably more than what I should, but I love Apple for the fact that like it was my first cloud experiment back in 12 where I can take these 4 objects and they all can stream the same movie, but it's off a satellite. I'm so happy. But I really like that. And when John Wick came out, the first one, I thought, oh, this is a great movie. I'd never expected it.
Yeah,
never.
That one kind of came out of left field.
And then part 2 and 3, they've just built a narrative of, we film amazing fight scenes with a good narrative between point A and B.
Yes. A little note: if you actually buy the John Wick limited edition handgun, the pistol, it comes with one of the auto, OTF knives. The pistol that was the same version that he used, and a metal pencil. Just in case you have to kill 3 men in a bar with a pencil. And I was like, hey, perfect, man. I mean, it only costs 10 grand, but.
Wait, 10 grand for a John Wick pistol?
Well, it's a knife and a pistol, full custom, and a metal pencil. At least.
Wow.
And I'm fairly certain that it was modified by Terran Tactical, because I mean that's where he did most of his, pretty much all of his firearms training.
I'm loading up that page right now.
Sweet. Oh, did you get the email I sent? I don't know if I should have gone through or no. Just want to make sure. Because my internet has been. Perfect. All right. Well, it's sent on this side, so I don't know if it'll take some time to arrive.
Yep, I did.
Solid. So yeah, so just if you're going to watch that one, that is going to be one moment clip where I just show appreciation to a truly strong female character, a well-written, strong, kick-ass character that you don't see anymore. Not as much, like maybe like 5%, but this is what we love, man.
Well, Vasquez. He's referring to Vasquez out of Aliens, and I just have to say that Jeanette Goldstein played the most iconic Hispanic female I've ever watched in a movie. And I'm after I watched that film, like two and a half decades later, I moved back to Texas.
Lucky bugger.
And
sorry, what?
None of the women are like that down here. I mean, they've got kind of the attitude, but none of the badassery.
None of the toughness.
None at all. None of that. It's all mentally soft women that have been dealing with mentally soft men, that they're just happy to still have their ex on speed dial, and hey, I'm going to talk about the kids, or like they're going to go obviously cheat on you, and so it's like, well, that went downhill fast. And I'm not saying anything negative about the culture, because I'm not, but I was expecting more after watching Vasquez and Aliens. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that is, and again, I know, because we're kind of like detracting from, we started off with Star Wars, and we go Big Trouble in Little China, now we're into Aliens, but I have to say, just Bill Paxton, rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace, bro.
And just like, Vasquez, you ever been mistaken for a man? Like, no, have you? And I was like, oh, that is what I'm talking about, man. That is good writing. And then, her and Drake, they share like a quick little, bro moment. And it's just like, see, this is what they're missing.
Yeah.
They can make a strong, awesome female character. They don't have to put anyone else down to try and push her up to make her look better by comparison. There's no cinematic sympathy. She is a hard ass. She survives like 95% more than any of her teammates. They all die, unfortunately. But I mean, she was one of the last ones to go, and in a most epic way. So like that's what I'm talking about. That's why I pay special tribute to her in my in the upcoming video that I'm doing, which I only need to do a little bit of 3 or 4 clips of filming.
Ords, Angelus Draven, Culture Casino, everybody and their brother is going to help promote that video, and you're going to go surging past what I've ever done on YouTube, and I will clap you so hard because I'm so happy for you, because you're tackling a subject all of us, like right now, everybody's saturating the internet with May the 4th be with you. Right. And that's great because it's that day. But Aliens from 1986 was a moment in cinema history where you had a woman come out and she led a group of military people on a fictitious mission. It's a movie. Yep. But ever since then, Sigourney Weaver has never not been considered badass. And the people that were around her that made that film, every single one of them, whenever they're out in public, Jeanette Goldstein, the girl that did the what was that ship called? The drop ship, the pilot for that.
There were 2 of them, and I know the backup ship, I think it was called the Pain in the Ass.
Yeah.
And then there was the first one, and I can't remember what the first was. I have all of the clips on my computer right now.
It's okay. But the pilot, that whenever she's taking them down, she's like, we're in the pipe, 5 by 5.
5 by 5.
That girl there, she still gets, she's English. All those people were basically English or Londoners because they filmed over there. They got a bunch of people that were local. Kind of nice. You can leave your house and drive to your job and not have to leave your hotel. No. So they were all from over there, but she still gets like accreditations and people stop her and get photographs or autographs of that. She was a bit part in that movie. And the Aliens franchise, despite how it nosedived, because everything else nosedived, people that were involved with Aliens are still getting asked to, hey, we're going to the coffee shop. Do you want to come along? I'll buy you a morning coffee or whatever. And I don't hear that whenever I go and I illicitly search Twitter because I don't have an account there.
You're one of those. Just a wise man. You don't want to be.
I don't read about people offering Jonathan Frakes like, hey, we're going to Starbucks, or hey, we're going to the Daily Grind. Do you want to come with us for coffee? We'd love to have you. I don't ever read about that. And I don't know if it's the standoffish nature of Americans on the West Coast, or if it's just the fact that everybody is different in the UK. Because when I was in the UK myself, if you were socially unobligated for the next 20 or 30 minutes and people knew you weren't from there, you want to come over here with us? And that was immense. You would have that happen all the time.
Right.
It was just what happened. Now, maybe that's just because I was a sailor in uniform. I don't know. But other people that I know that have lived there as civilians said it's about the same way. When they hear my accent and my Texas comes out, oh, and all of a sudden, like, I've got people that want to know my number. They want me to hang out with them on Friday. They want me to, and it's different.
Yeah.
But you never hear that from the Hollywood star people over there. You only see stuff because of, the Daily Mail. They show you like what this girl's wearing. And they say, well, they were seen from the paparazzi at a far distance, and we got photographs of them smooching on somebody new. But it's totally different over there than it is in London. And I'm just saying that, like, when I was reading about what happened in the creation period for the Aliens movie in 85, 86, it seemed like it was a totally different world than what I was reading about when I read about the direction that Return of the Jedi took in 82.
Right.
And it was only 4 years difference, 3 years difference. I don't know. But Aliens is a cultural movie for the fact that everybody that watches Aliens still thinks those people, those actors, are certifiable badasses.
Oh, absolutely. When I watch, I mean, was it so some of the early movies? I would like to thank my parents for this because I was able to watch movies that I definitely should not have been watching, but it forged who I am. Aliens, Predator, and then they wondered why I joined the army, and they were like, "Well, you guys gave me some pretty decent inspiration there, you know." So I mean, so these are some of the first movies that I ever saw, and it was like, Aliens it's iconic beyond description. I mean, no CGI. I mean, okay, except for a few things with the drop ship, and I think that was about it. But most of it was all model.
Yeah, all blue screen with a model.
Old school. Yeah. So even when they're coming down through the clouds, you know, when they're doing their drop, like all of that, and I don't want to jinx it, but it's like, but if they tried to like do a remake of it, it would be all CG, you know, computer generated up the wazoo, and it would look like garbage. You can't do it, man. You cannot do it. It's like even when they're going into the hive, like the amount of texture and everything that went into that was the first time that people actually saw, like, okay, in the first movie Alien, it was just the one, and then there was the ship and the eggs, and you didn't really get too much of it. But when in Aliens and they actually go into the reactor, and you can see that like what it is that they're like freaking alien ants from hell, and they've constructed the entire hive out of this thing, and you got people all strung up and their chests are all blown out, and it was like, it was freaking nuts, and you didn't know what the heck was going on. And man, it was well, besides because I was a kid, it scared the ever living shit out of me. But you know, but as I started to appreciate
that, should scare the shit out of you.
Yeah, but I just love it, man. Like the weaponry, the smart guns, you know, the pulse rifles. And like you mentioned, you know, Sigourney Weaver there, when it's like, oh, she had to take weapons training in order to, you know, she's like, oh, okay, well, I want to look proper using this, right? And then all of a sudden that changed her mindset in regards to firearms.
Yeah, because she was so anti-gun before that, and she still is anti-gun, but she took the training, and they were having her practice with the shotgun and doing load tests at the aliens' eggs. Yeah. And she's watching things blow apart. And she kind of felt almost like she had a human streak there because she was enjoying herself blowing the shit out of alien eggs. And she's like, well, I could see where people would really get off on this.
Oh, yeah.
And most of us, that's why we play with firearms. Like, we've seen watermelons explode. We've done things to barrels. You know, we've pulled up barrels and watched water gush out.
Yep.
And they do that for the fact that, like, if you're ever woke up at 2 a.m. and you've got the ability to defend yourself because somebody's breaking into your home, you take the chance and try to fight back.
Yep.
You don't want to think of it as a sexual thing or as anything perverted. You're just trying to survive, and you're on an even keel with whoever the intruder is. Because in your head, they're armed until they're not. Until they're proven.
Yeah, exactly. You know? That was always a weird one for me, though. I do have to say, when people are like, "Oh man, it's like, what is it? Oh, it's like guns. Like you must have like a small. You must be small in the man area." It's like, "Oh, the guy with the big truck must be small." It's like, what are you trying to? It's like, well, the way I look at target shooting, because I'm actually starting to get into long distance target shooting. Like I've got a platform that I just recently built, and I'm really looking forward to getting out to the range on this thing. But it's like playing pool at 800, 900 yards. Okay, like it is insane when you hit a target. Like, okay, I'd have to say the furthest I've probably ever hit a target was maybe around 300, and that was with a service rifle. Mm-hmm. So nothing to phone home about. But when you hit a target, you feel accomplished, because that is not easy. Okay, there's a lot of variables in that, and I think of it similar to like playing pool. Like I like that, but yes, being able to defend yourself, because when they say when it counts, remember when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, and that is a harsh truth.
It is.
Yeah,
I would rather not have to worry about that. I want to be safe.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's documentaries on Netflix now. Like, my friend, we serve together, and he's a paramedic, and he was like, "Yeah, it's city down in the States, and they follow the police officers there, and they're so backed up that the wait time for a response is like 4 hours. And I'm like, you will be dead and buried in that amount of time, you know?
That's about average. For big cities, Seattle, San Antonio, Boston, 3 to 7 hours.
Oh, that's insane, man.
Yeah, unless you are out there with an AK-47 waving it around at a church parking lot on a Sunday, you got to wait.
Yeah, there's a joke. I don't know if it's based in reality, but it was told to me as a joke. So everyone, you can get a load of this one. So this guy who calls up the police, some people are breaking into his shed in his backyard. And he says, hey, you know, these guys are breaking into my backyard. You know, they're not going for the house or me or anything, but they're in there busting in. They're stealing all my tools and my stuff. And the police are like, oh, sorry, you know, like we're really busy. It's Saturday night. We can't help you. He's like, oh, okay, I understand. So he hangs up, waits, you know, another minute. These guys are tearing off with all of his stuff, and he calls them up again. He's like, hey, yeah, I just recently called. Don't worry about it. I shot them. Problem solved. Like, you guys don't have to worry about it. Well, anyways, the SWAT team and like 10 cop cars pull up onto his lawn, and they kick in the door going nuts and like, hey, you thought you killed the guy, and they arrest all the guys in his backyard. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you guys were too busy, you know. And it's and I was like, yeah, that really puts it into perspective of what's in a matter of importance, you know what I mean? But I do not recommend anyone actually try that though. but it got a laugh out of us, because I think we were at the range when someone told me that.
The most important thing I think anybody that has their own firearm should really practice isn't actually shooting. You should get used to not really the act of shooting, but the muscle memory of recovering after you've squeezed the trigger once.
Yes.
And then the second thing you should do is the quick reload. Like I'm blessed. The shotgun I found and I picked is basically just like an AK-47 that's been repurposed as a 12 gauge. And so literally I'm just slapping a magazine in it. Now,
and then it's good to go.
Yeah, it's ready. Pull back and then hand back on the trigger and ready to see if there's somebody trying to poke their head out or get brave. But if I go through 10 rounds, because I only have 2 mags at the moment, and I don't have a dead bleeding corpse on my, in the home, man, I'm sad.
Like, you got to admit, hey, you just wanted it more. You know, I already made off with my TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the main thing that we were always trained was like your stoppage drills, right? So, I mean, fire fails to fire, it's a quick check. You can see your immediate actions, like, okay, action forward, bolt half open, bolt to the rear. What are the things that you do, and you're able to mitigate them. And I mean, I've been out of the service for about 7 years now, and even still at the range, like it's so ingrained that you're not even thinking.
No, you're
when
not.
It happens. You just look at it, and then you're
back at it.
Yeah, my life doesn't depend on it anymore, but you're still, it's still, you work through it as quickly as possible.
It takes about 3 seconds. Right now, I'm timing myself. I'm between 2.5 to 3 seconds on magazine reloads from an empty piece, and that's not great. That's not bad.
It counts, man.
And
I mean,
there's a scene in the movie Heat where Val Kilmer's swapping out magazines, and all the guys I know that were devil dogs, like their drill told them, like, watch this guy here, watch this boot actor, watch him reload. If you can't reload like this, you suck, because this is how you're supposed to do it. And that was what Val Kilmer practiced for like 3 days straight. 8 hours reloading. That's it. That's all he did for 8 hours a day. For 3 days.
That's decent, man. Okay. Like dry firing. Just because you reminded me of this when you mentioned Heat. I put a link in the chat there to a movie called The Veteran. It's a British movie, and I think you'd like it. I genuinely do, man. Like, besides Heat, like, it has one of the most realistic urban firefights. Like, one guy, taking out the trash, so to speak, and dude, it is a harsh movie. Like, this is not an enjoyable watch. But yeah, I mean, I hope I'm selling it for you. but it's really good. Like actually, if you type it in and you just see the final, like if you don't want to watch the movie itself, you just want to watch the end of it, like the final piece of the movie. You can, it's on YouTube and you can see what I mean. Like the sound is excellent, like the filming is excellent, like it's gritty, and practically no one even heard of it, which is kind of a surprise, kind of a surprise to me. But like it's man, like I remember I watched it the first time. I was like, holy crap, man! I don't think I'm going to watch this again for a while. You know, like it leaves an imprint.
That's interesting. I've never heard of this. I think I know what I'm going to watch.
Well, that's the trade-off. If you watch that one, then you got to give me one to watch. So that's
well, I just watched Den of Thieves.
oh man, that is so good. Like
it felt like a love letter to Heat.
Yes,
is what it felt like. And the other part that I liked was the fact that they were not afraid to ugly up Gerard, whatever his name is.
Gerard Butler.
Yeah, Gerard Butler. They're like, you're going to gain 70 pounds and look like shit for this movie. And I'm like, I can identify with this man.
It's like, why aren't I getting paid $1 million to do that? I'm doing this for free now, like an idiot, you know?
And there was a scene, because like I did back in 2005 and 2006, I did about 50 credit hours for law enforcement until basically the Lieutenant Smith, which is his name, out of Decatur, Illinois, pulled me aside. He's like, listen, you're really good. A lot of the guys like you. The ones that don't like you are the Marine Corps people because you were a squid. I'm like, I get that. I get it.
Ross Albert.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Everybody else, especially the guys that never served, like those cops, like part of the job, part of the classes was doing an internship. So for like 2 or 3 nights a week, I would go out with cops and ride for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
For a semester, I did that. And then I had to put together a synopsis and pretty much just like a dissertation of what I thought happened at the end of the entire semester. I did that. And I'm one of the few people that scored an A on the internship and ride-alongs because I was able just basically to say that the smartest person in the room will never be a cop. The smartest person in the room will look at that and they'll experience all the guys where they're like on the third shift, it's the newbies, and they're all like full of piss and vinegar, and they get into bar fights because they're breaking up, you know, the drunks and putting them towards the cars and buses. We didn't have Uber back in 2005 and 6.
Yeah.
Well, those guys kind of burn out because after 5 years of thumping up drunks, you're kind of wanting either something a little more challenging and intellectually stimulating, or you're just like, I'm in it for the long haul. They go to second shift, and second shift for us is like the afternoons to about 11 o'clock at night. And these poor guys get the worst because that's where all your afternoon accidents are at. So you're stuck with like some poor dismembered person because a car wasn't able to stay between the ditches or found another vehicle head on, and you're there providing traffic control. And their life really, they get kind of soft around that period of time between 5 and 12 and 15 years. They get soft as a cop because that now it's just become a process. I go to work, I fill out paperwork, I go home. Right. They no longer are interacting with the public. They're just there to provide a infrastructure piece for the government to hold up the government so they can have traffic continue. They can have ambulance come and scrape up citizen B and throw them in, you know, and it felt bad. But then you have the guys that make it to the 12 on from there, they go to first shift. And all of a sudden, like, they're back on. And if you're in big cities like New York or Los Angeles, there's a lot of bank robberies that happen. So if you're a first shifter and you got out of shape, well, guess what you're going to be doing? You're going to go back to the gym because
Yeah.
your boss is like, listen, you're on. It's game time. And so you have to get back into the swing of things after you've been part of the infrastructure. Now you're just there because this is the most crucial part. And they hope that the previous years that you've got loaded into your skull are going to provide for a actual functioning police or citizen patrol, because they need you there. And it's not, you can't just retire at 20. Once you get your 20 in, if you stay in and you continue to function as a intermediary between lawlessness and an orderly public, you can do that, but you're just so miserable after 15 years. Like, that's your divorce time. That's where the majority of everybody starts committing suicide, or like alcoholism and having to go to counseling really starts up. So it's like the most hellacious job I've ever seen in my life. And I thankfully was like, I got to find an alternative, because I'm a pussy and I will go straight to bottle or to cocaine or whatever it is that I can find that will allow me to forget what's going on in my head. What did I do for the past 8 hours? I don't care. Or whatever.
Yeah.
But I know how my own self is. And it's maybe other people are out there. And if you want to ridicule me for that, that's good. But I can just say that I know myself a little too well. I need to stay out of that line of work.
Yeah.
Hail Apollo Patriot.
LAP. Yeah,
So,
no, I'll be honest with you. Like after I did 6 years infantry, and yeah, well, obviously in the military, you're not, they don't let you do anything but drink.
yeah.
So that becomes your outlet. Like that becomes your pressure release, and it gets bad, man. I mean, bad. Yeah. No, I mean, even like beyond levels. And it's just like, you got guys that were coming back from tour, and they were like drinking and driving all the time. Like all the time, people tend to, they make light of it, and they're like, oh, veterans always drinking. I'm like, yeah, I can speak for experience, man. There's a lot. That's what guys will do, because there's no, and I know it sounds bad, but if you go to your organization and you try and get assistance, your career is essentially over.
Yes.
They'll never admit it, but
You'll never get promoted.
They'll be like, oh, okay, so you came back from, such and such, and you had this, or reported this, you can't sleep, like this, a lot of alcoholism. It's like, oh, okay, well, we'll give you the stamp, PTSD, and that's it. Like, that is it. So you got two options. You can either stay in until you retire, but never really go anywhere, or get out and never get back into a government line of work.
Ever.
Yeah. And it's really, really, it's really shitty. And then they wonder, like, how come guys are, taking their own lives? It's like, well, because they were a part of something and then they were taken out of it. And there's that connection, and they want to be a part of something like that again, but now they're not allowed to, because they were kind of backed into a corner. And it's really unfortunate. Actually, hold on a second. I'll be right back. But I mean, there's like, the more, like, depending on how you think about it, I can understand why a lot of guys are pissed off, like they get out and they're like, I want nothing to do with that organization ever again. And, they screwed me out of this and that, marriages are over. Some guys were freaking homeless, guys were freaking, I mean, there were, what was it? Three guys that took their own lives while I was in, and, all for just what would be perceived as relatively minor things, man. But they felt like they were they had nowhere to go, nothing to do. And I felt bad for them, and even that thing, like, I mean, since we're between you, me, and the entirety of the world and the internet, I was in pretty rough shape. Like, when, and you can only really see it when you look back.
Yeah.
You look back and you're like, holy shit, how the hell am I still alive? Like, how did I make it? But if I could, help out other guys, guys that have been experienced this, whether it's emergency medical response, police, military, anything of that, and just be like, hey, look, like I've been there, I've been teetering on the edge, and you have the ability to pull yourself back. It's just a matter of readjusting. You know what I mean?
And if people don't want that help, no matter how many billboards or how many opportunities you put in front of them, they're not going to take it.
Yeah.
They're going to continue on that self-destructive spiral. And it takes them to wake up and say, I need to be strong for whatever reason. I cannot succumb.
Yeah. No, it's true. And that's the other thing is like, it is completely, like, and I can say it because I knew like some of my family and friends, they were like, hey, maybe you should talk to somebody, maybe you should do this. And I would go and I would talk to them, and I would get nothing out of it, because in all honesty, I was happy with my unhappiness, like that old song Smashing Pumpkins, I'm in love with my sadness, and I was like, and that's how it was.
That gives you comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You're okay with feeling like that because in your head, you're carrying this torch for something when it's really up to you. You can either feel and react to life negatively, and even know that, you feel like there might be other people out there that their lives are over, and you're like trying to honor them. They probably wouldn't want you to have a negative outlook on things. They would probably want you to be a little more positive on things. But so many people, they get into they get into this mindset where like they've got to carry the torch.
Oh, absolutely.
And like I don't mind having a self-reflection, but I also need to get more into that I did good because I did these things, and I positively helped out these people today. And I don't do that enough to where I basically, people would say they're smelling their own farts, but I don't try to look at the things that I did great. I'm always far too self-critical on myself because I feel like I have to get better at whatever I'm trying to perfect, which that's an interesting proposition too. But
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
too many people who do that.
Well, good point, right? Like, I mean, when it comes to this, like, being self-critical is an important aspect of self-betterment, but it can't be the focal point of it, right? Like, it can't. If it becomes into that, you'll simply stop doing whatever it is that you're doing, because you'll think that it's absolute garbage, and you can't do that. Like, for example, like you're painting, and since Makini and invited me onto the show, and I've started doing more of a YouTube thing, I've actually I started painting, which is something I never thought I would ever do. But I've always been a fan of Bob Ross, and I've started, I've got into it now. Like I said, okay, so I got a miniature paint set, and I've taken some of the instructional videos, and I'm getting into it, and I'm like, okay, the first 3 canvases, if you could call them that. Right. You remember you ever been through a pumpkin patch in the muddy after a heavy duty rain? Just a mud hole. Like, I was like, this is non-salvageable. I had to get rid of it. And then, but I mean, then, like my first attempted painting was a little bit better. And then now I've done 2 so far, and just slowing it down and learning. But it was like, so often, like, you look at your mistakes, but that's how you get better. That critical aspect that you're talking about, you're like, hey, like this figurine that you would have painted, you'd be like, okay, like, this looks good, this doesn't look good. Focus on what looks good and learn and do it better. And then that's how you take that critical aspect and turn it into that positive aspect, is that mistakes will lead you towards self-correction. Yeah. No, memes make the downward spiral can feel like it never ends. Just got to do something. The tallest mountain started as a stone. Yeah, and it's that is true. It's self-embetterment, and understanding that you are a human being and you're fallible, and right, you have to accept that. But that shouldn't be the focal point of it. That should be, hey, I make mistakes. Take that moment where you can acknowledge them, whether they be something grand or something relatively minor, but then take that and look at it. I think some people call it cognitive behavioral therapy. I call it just looking, like focusing your attention towards yourself and how you act, think, feel, and then you're able to move forward. You know, like that we could call that's the force. All right. That's the real force, is that looking inside and being like, okay, I did this. You know, you see the whiteboard behind me. I live by the whiteboard. I write things down that I have to do during the day, and I try to accomplish as much of it as I possibly can. If I don't get it all, okay, it moves on to the next day, and then I keep moving myself forward, using that as a guide stone, and it works. In fact, I'll show you my painting if you want to see it.
Yeah, please.
All right, be gentle.
Means of Destruction says, if you need a chuckle, feel free to share the Phantom Menace Rogue Enema with everybody here. It stars author Stephen Walton, the best part of waking up. Wait, where's the Rogue Enema? Hold on. Oh,
please don't fall. Okay. All right. So that one I did. There we go. Hold on. Focus. There we go. So that one I did yesterday. All right. There we go.
Nice.
Following along with Bob Ross, a former Air Force drill sergeant, which I didn't actually know the Air Force had drill sergeants, but yeah. So just, you know, going along with that one, and artistic outlet. I mean, that's the first painting looked like utter garbage, and you know, the second one, like I took, okay, today's lesson, use less paint. Like way less paint. And then it slowly kind of got better. Oh, thanks, memes. Yeah, you guys are, it looks like Mount Olympus. I was actually going to say, Apollo, I could actually put a little temple on the top of it. On the top of that one mountain there. Yeah, exactly. It'd be like, hail sun god. But yeah, man, like it's important. It's important to look at yourself in a, I'd call it like a neutral positive, self-critical way. All right. Yeah. So you're not beating yourself up. You're being like, okay, this is what I need to do better, and then I will. And you don't harp on it. It's like the emergency light in a car, right?
Exactly.
Like if the engine light goes on, you're like, oh crap, man, like I really should be focusing on the road, but I can't take my eyes off the engine light, and then you're freaking, you know, Dukes of Hazzard it into a freaking tree or whatever. You know, like, you can't do that. So you use it as a guide. You'd be like, okay, I got to check the engine light, but I still got to focus on where I'm going, and I got to do a good job.
I got a problem at my job right now. Me and my boss, we're trying to figure out how to do a maintenance schedule with our trucks, because he's never had a driver that will run for 10 hours a day in over 15 years. And after these trucks have got 300,000 miles on them, well, they're no longer fresh, you know?
Yeah, to say the least, man.
I'm trying to do my best to not be a snarky asshole, but like I had a part break on me today, and I thought, well, he's not going to like the situation where our PTO on this truck is down, so we can either throw a fit about it, or I can load all my equipment on the other truck, go run it to the dump, empty it out, and come back and start again, because we have a lot of work ahead of us if we're going to do that. If we take the last truck, that's only 2,500 gallons. Basically, every job and a half or 2 jobs, I'll be running to the dump to squeeze out that load and then running right back. And when I say right back, there's about a 2-hour window where I'm inaccessible. I cannot do work. I cannot do anything but drive, turn around, come back, and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
And keep in mind, this isn't my dime. This is my boss's dime, and I'm trying to be. I've got to swallow some diplomatic tea tomorrow. That way, I can not be a snarky asshole at 6 a.m. before he's had enough coffee to be functional. We talk about
that is the golden line right there, to be like, coffee first,
yeah,
then work.
Yeah, like the slogan of Stocking Mill Coffee is "But first, coffee."
Yes, yeah.
And
classic.
It's a good line. Arrive violently is the other byline I use, but they're a good little company, and you like Black Rifle Coffee, which they're not bad. They got me into the veteran coffee companies. That was my initial. So it was really good experience for me, and I really liked them for the fact they introduced me to a whole bunch of other people that have really good brew. And
Right.
the main thing is that, like, if you compare any of these companies here that are vet owned versus like the big top guy over here from Seattle, these aren't super bitter. These are pretty pleasant to drink.
Sorry, I got a
You have a
phone
distraction. I
checking
get
in.
it.
Yep.
When you live with your loved ones, like sometimes it's like, what are you doing?
Well, it's like my sergeant said, popularity is a burden. I was a prick. But yeah. Sorry, you were saying. So like some of them bitter, some of them not bitter.
I was just going to tie it to Star Wars real quick because May the 4th and such, but we talked a little bit about the RPG and the EU, and there's some friends of ours that have written books, and on my second read through of Space Crime Domino,
Kai, I know you're not in the chat, but you're the man.
Kai. On my second read through of it, there's a lot of early, like Kai doesn't really tell a lot of people that he says, I like the prequels or I like the original trilogy. He doesn't say that. But if you read Space Crime Domino, you can tell there's a lot of love for the original trilogy in that. And then the second book I brought out, which is the one that I think everybody...
Sunsworn,
Edge of Annihilation, is Steve Lee or Red Gaze's baby. And that one, both of those books would not be possible if we didn't have the failures of like the franchises as we have right now. If you didn't have like the big agenda being take your multi-billion-dollar franchise and nosedive it into this pile of political shit, we wouldn't have those books. We wouldn't have the Phantom Menace writers out there going, I'm going to be Mickey fucking Splain. You know, they wouldn't do that. These guys, they love Star Wars. And if you read these books, you get that. You get the love for the 80s and 90s culture, which made great movies. And that's really, really sad that we're at the point where, like, we have guys that'll take a hiatus from like 3 to 5 hours a day for 7 or 10 months, and they write a book, and it's not selling enough. And I'm trying to tell Kai, like, dude, I'm trying to help you out as much as I can. I'm sorry. Not enough people have made videos about Kai's book, and I need to get on that. I'll also need to do Sunsworn's review. But
exactly.
The fact is that without Star Wars' failure, and I'll even claim the prequels were a failure because they abandoned a lot of the things that we were wanting in the 90s. We wanted to see Tim Zahn's books turn into movies, and they didn't do that. They gave us a story of Darth Vader instead, and boy, what a letdown for me that was. But I'm sorry. Episode 3 was as good as it got, and I still was not impressed. It was spectacular to watch on a big screen the first time, but after that, I'm good.
Yeah, I was like, that's definitely a one-time viewing. But with that, like, I mean, if Kai got in contact with some people from Netflix, I mean, you never know.
Space Crime Domino could sell.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that they would do, because I know that Netflix, these streaming services, they're more adventurous. You know what I mean? Like if they'll be like, okay, like they've got, if they read the material and they get in contact with them, they'll be like, hey, we can do this. This is something that we could do. There you go. Bestseller overnight. Well, not overnight, but you know what I mean. So that might be something that you could send him that idea and be like, hey man, talk to these streaming services, the ones that are in production, you know, and just see. The worst thing that can happen is they'll say no.
Yeah,
the first time
they say no, okay, no big deal.
Maybe the second time, try it again. You know, once the book starts selling more and more.
See, then I think Amazon would actually take it up.
Amazon.
They
probably would.
Amazon took up The Boys, which was an interesting comic book. I haven't read all of it. I'm not even going to try to pretend I've read even half of it, but it's good what I've read. Then they also took up Invincible, which is a little different from the comics, but the differences with that are basically you'll have scenes that are here and now they're put over here, or scenes from over here in the comics and now they're Pulp Fiction a bit. But it could, maybe a quick animated short to pitch it. That very well might help out.
That could do it, man. I mean, even if it wasn't animated, I mean, if Kai was cool with that, I mean, it could start animated and then be like, hey, we're going to do a live action. I mean, that's dangerous territory because I'm a fan of anime, and I know that anime live adaptations are not doing particularly well, but we look at it with a very critical eye, right? Like, I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, there's some things that you can only do in anime.
Yeah,
but then again, that's something you could play off of, right?
I'd be fine with that. I think it could actually sell, and I think that the people that would watch it would really enjoy it, and they would probably, you'd have a surprise hit like what we had with Tiger King.
Yeah. Oh man, I've only heard stories. I still haven't watched that one, but I've heard it's absolute insanity.
Tiger King is what, like, if I were to be somebody who required narcotics, I would think that would be like prime. Like, I'm going to write
this is the show for you.
Yeah, this is the show for you. Do you like cocaine and like animals? Do you want to see some, like, every woke item on the checklist Tiger King hits, but it doesn't hit it in a way that drives away most people. It does a narrative job of showing all the bad things in life as you should not go through with them. And it does a really good job and it shows people just on a path of self-destruction. And if you don't mind that, it's a really good show. But if you're somebody who says, like, no, I like movies where they start off like a reverse country western song where everything gets better.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's probably not the show for you.
Yeah, but, like, okay, we have none of that. But yeah, it's like, well, no, I mean, it's like every once in a while. I mean, you got to watch. It can't always be sunshine and rainbows, but memes. It makes a good point here. Like, if you did a fancy storyboard, and a friend of mine, Adrian Van Viersen, if you've seen, I think he's worked on at least 10 Marvel movies that have come out in the past, and I worked with him in some of the storyboards for that. He actually got me a gig on Arrow briefly as a stunt extra. And if I can get a copy of that, I mean, the guy's busy as hell, but if I could send him one and be like, hey man, can you read like some of it? Maybe he could be able to work on that, because his work is pretty phenomenal. And he actually made his own Superman comic, which I don't have a link to, unfortunately, but he literally like made his own comic about the origin story, right between when Superman goes from being in a traveling circus, like the sideshow, and then he becomes a superhero, and the space between that is one comic frame. And he basically, in that tiny bar, he made an entire comic's worth of how Superman went from being in the sideshow to being a superhero. And yeah, and it's really impressive, man. I mean, like, he's worked in the industry. Freaking guy's been drawing longer than I've been alive.
What's his name?
Adrian Van Viersen.
Adrian.
And maybe I'm actually be able to find. Hold on a second.
Van Viersen with a V, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Various, man, crazy. He like, he made his own comic, Technopolis. Let's see, maybe here, I can give you his website. Boom, and anyway, here, I'll post it in the private chat there.
I just pulled up his information on DuckDuckGo, and holy cow!
Yeah, so he made his Technopolis was a comic that he's been trying to pitch. Yeah, so you can see some of the movies that some of the movies that he's known for. Mission Impossible, yeah, that's a pretty extensive freaking list.
No, Tumblr. I don't want to follow him. Thank you.
Thank you for intruding. As you go, so Dark Phoenix, Cold Pursuit. I mean, like he's a classic comic book guy, and so I know, like, when he's worked on projects, whether or not he really was like his heart was into it, right? So I mean, he's always going to do his best work that he has, because I mean that's just the nature of the beast. But you can tell, like, some projects are literally just money, and other ones are you know, a little bit more
Passion project.
a little bit more passionate. Yeah, like X-Men 3, Last Stand, Underworld Evolution, Supernatural, Fantastic Four, Battlestar Galactica, see what X2. Like I said, man, he worked on basically all of the X-Men movies. Yeah,
So
man.
he was an illustrator for Jennifer's Body. That's interesting. He was a storyboard artist for the Fantastic Rise of Silver Surfer, which wasn't a great movie, but storyboard artist for that would still be fun.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the thing. Like he, like for some shots, he'd be like, okay, so in this scene, the character is going to be running. I think this was for the Flash TV show, and he was like, okay, so I need a top-down shot of someone at a full sprint. So he literally, he was hanging out of his apartment window, filming me running at a full tilt sprint down the alley, and just filming that, and then using that as a frame of reference for his storyboard. Yeah, but I mean, it's like, see, for example, like I could contact him and essentially be like, hey, man, like, you know, I've got some ideas here, and there's some people who got some writing things. Like, what would it cost? What would it cost? And what would be the process of it? Because I mean, he's been in the industry for ages, you know, and he would know how to get it done. He would say, like, okay, you're gonna need, you know, 50, 60, 70 grand, whatever, to get the ball rolling, something along those lines. But yeah, if you take a look at, if you like the kind of futuristic combination between 1940s, 1950s, futuristic, what is it? Futuristic kind of story play. If you check out Technopolis, that's kind of like something he's been working on for many, many years. And of course, I can't freaking find the darn thing.
He was involved with Magicians TV show. That's like one of the greatest shows I've just now started opening up that entire franchise. That's a really good show, by the way.
Magicians?
Yep.
War for Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, Seventh Son, Flash. Mission Impossible 4. I actually like that one. You know, I know a lot of people don't. They got like ups and downs when it comes to that.
Part 2 was the low point of that series.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I was not a fan of Part 2. And it had John Woo as director. No, couldn't do it.
Yeah, I remember that was one of their big selling points too, which was kind of an unusual, one of their unusual sort of things. But yeah, man, like just if you get a chance, just check out some of his work, because he's very dedicated, like 100%.
I love his work. I love the art he's got here.
Yeah, maybe I could find freaking, hold on. Technopolis. Here we go. And of course, you type that in, and you're gonna get like 50 freaking million techno techno bands.
Now, we're usually up at this time of night? Or are you an early
Uh,
sleeper?
Usually going to bed or racking out around, usually around this time. Well, not this time, but I'm good for
A
another
bit
30
later.
minutes. Good for another 30 minutes.
Are you familiar with a short movie called Hardware Wars?
I'm not, actually. Come on.
Okay. I figure I want to pull it up because this was something that they had on HBO all the time back in the 80s. This was like one of the first fan films ever made.
A short film parody?
Yeah, a short film parody. And it's still one of George Lucas's favorite things that he's ever seen. To be a love letter to Star Wars. And I want to do a reaction of this. You've never seen it before, which is perfect. Do you mind if we do this?
Yeah, rock and roll, man.
Okay.
I'm actually wondering, because I have absolutely zero training when it comes to how StreamYard works.
Well, we're going to pop it on right now.
All right, let's do this.
Yes, sir.
Of course. Freaking iron.
A spectacle light years ahead of its time. Starring Luke Starbucker, intergalactic boy wonder. Augie Ben Doggy, venerable member of the Red Eye Knights. Princess Android, interstellar damsel in distress. Ham Salad, ace mercenary pilot and intergalactic wise guy.
Are you still seeing this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Darth.
Celestial battle, ablaze with death-dealing weaponry.
What? I would be interested to know how they got the toast to fly like that.
With the amusing antics of space drones 4Q2 and Artie Deco. Deco, where are you? At last, where have you been? Secret mission? What plan? What are you talking about? This is madness.
Freaking vacuum cleaner.
We're heading in this direction. What are we going to do? We're doomed for certain. Oh dear, I'm going to regret this. Another fine mess you've gotten us into. What a desolate place this is.
Jeez.
Why I ever listen to you is beyond me. Really. Well, you can do what you like. I'm going this way.
Some lady with a towel. Oh, man.
Divine fascination as Luke Starbucker discovers the princess's secret passage.
Help me, Augie Ben Doggy. You're my only hope. Help me, Augie Ben Doggy. You're my
Golly!
Help me, Augie Ben Doggy. You're my only
I'll
hope.
keep it, doggy. A little classic hardware.
It sounds like Speed Buggy.
Meet the venerable Augie Ben Doggy.
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
Gosh! Wowee!
Keepers. Golly willikers.
Oh, well done.
You'll feel supercharged with intrigue
That is a ghetto lightsaber.
on an heroic mission.
I've never seen this before.
Oh.
I'm almost on the point of tears.
Oh man. Hey, to their credit, man, this probably had a budget of maybe $100. we need a shitty vacuum cleaner. All right, most of the stuff we can find in my uncle's garage will be fine. Oh man,
the smoke effect they did for the light was really good.
Jimmy G. Willikers. Oh man.
Okay.
To save the princess.
An Imperial steam trooper.
Uh-oh.
Identification?
Gee, I think I left my ID in my other pants. Look, we're in kind of a hurry.
These aren't the drones you want.
These aren't the drones we
We
want.
don't want to detain
We
us.
don't want to detain you.
Freaking garbage can.
Never see a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Watch your step, son. This place can be a little rough.
Oh, no, it's too weird in here. I can't go in here. Look, I'll wait for you
Stay
outside.
calm, my boy. We've got to find a pilot.
They're like just filming a bar. Oh, the days where you could smoke indoors.
Man. And it wasn't that long ago. They just outlawed it in 2006.
Jeez.
There's our man.
Oh
Fly along.
They took a Cookie Monster puppet and brown spray painted it.
I just like the fact that they were in a real bar and there was no way they were picking up audio. So they're just like, we just need you guys to look at us. Like, these are our men. And cut to the end. Oh, brother. Okay.
Monsters as they make their daring getaway.
Bring your seat back to a complete upright position. Please extinguish your cigarettes and refrain from smoking. However, should a sudden change occur, the captain mark your tray table in place. Thank you.
Oh. Oh, dude.
Witness the exciting action-packed dogfight scene. Experience extensive spine-tingling special effects as you become catapulted into the dazzling dimension of dire space.
They're still back there. They're gaining on us. Does this thing do light speed?
You bet your asteroid, kid. Hold on.
I mean, you could tell that ham salad is freaking ripped out of his gourd. Jeez, it's like a call back to the old Doctor Who.
Say again, brother?
It's like a call back to the old Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
Do-do-do-do,
Naughty person.
I don't understand what you're saying. I can't understand you. Are you talking to me? Basketball is a peaceful planet, please. We have no weapons. No, don't.
They seriously microwave a basketball.
As it made the voices crying out in terror and were suddenly silenced? No, just with a headache. Look, what's that?
Too big to be a space station. I got a bad feeling about this. Shoot killer, full reverse. Oh.
We're out of control. We're being drawn toward it.
It's a freaking waffle iron.
To the hair-raising dramatic rescue of Princess Android.
You'll get us all killed.
Yeah, it's me.
Well, go in here. I insist.
Forget it, sister. I can handle it. Okay, I'm with you. You must try to hurry, Archie. There's very little time. Please, Archie, try to plug into the master computer.
Reporting a dangerous overloaded octopus connection in Sector 5.
No, you trying to break my needle.
The time is...
I must try to find that tractor beam. Ah, there it is.
What the?
What are you saying?
What is he saying?
Oh, dude.
Now you go on without me. I'll be all right. Don't worry. See you later, you water.
Jeez.
Look out, space rubble. Enjoy.
Okay, so you want to attack its most vulnerable spot. Come at it from this angle and locate the automatic flip-flop override device here, which in turn will diffuse the anti-gyroscopic pre-interface thrust chamber and the pneumatic circle still deflectors. Then you simply deactivate the axial
Freaking axle.
electronic oscillator that you see here. Huh? You pull the plug.
Trust your feelings, Luke. And if you can't be good, be careful. Hardware Wars. A growing space saga of romance, rebellion, and household appliances. Hardware Wars. You'll laugh. You'll cry. You'll kiss $3 goodbye. Coming soon to a theater.
Jeez. Man, props to them.
Very, very awesome. Michael Weiss, Ernie Fossilius.
Oh, dude. 4Q2.
Artie Deco.
4Q2. Oh man, you gotta who would like Culture Casino would love that.
Yeah, he would. Culture, I hope actually that there's still enough time this week to where we can have everybody in the group like, hey, do a reaction video of this.
Yes.
And I'm sure Culture and Nerdrotic and those guys saw it because it was on HBO. Is just like, oh, we have 20 minutes before the next show, throw this up, and they would do that all the time. But I didn't know that because I never had HBO. We lived out in the country. And I was, by the time we got cable, I had a car. Well, you know where this is going.
Nice.
So.
But yeah, we could definitely, like, even memes agrees like this. We could be like, Culture, you got 15 minutes? Good. Just sit down. And a good May the 4th video too, man. It goes to show you, see, with a little bit of ingenuity, you can, I mean, yes, okay, it was made in the 70s, but like with just filming and what you can do with that and a little bit of creativity is ridiculous.
They literally with probably $100 is what they made.
We just need crap that we've got laying around in the shed. Okay, we need a dune buggy. Someone probably had that. We're gonna go to the local pub. You guys just sit here and we'll walk in with a camera. I feel like even the lady with a towel at the beach. You know, like, I mean, it's like guerrilla
filmmaking.
Yeah. Oh man, that's too much, dude. Oh yeah.
Appreciate you being on here for this. I didn't know if you'd ever seen that before, and I didn't want to have it as like my creme de la creme, but like I wanted to show that because back in the day, like if you had cable, if you were cool, you knew hardware wars backward and forward, and you're like, oh, that was stupid because you're like 8 years old and you're wanting blood and guts.
Yeah, the real, yeah. But well, I mean, if that was made in the 70s, when was Spaceballs made?
Spaceballs was 86.
Okay, all right, yeah. So, because I was gonna say, like, that's pretty much the only Star Wars parody that I was aware of, you know. But I gotta say, like, I mean, yes, I love Spaceballs, obviously. I mean, it's a classic, right? But this has there's a beauty to this that is that has to be appreciated.
I wonder if Machini, I know he's gonna be busy all week, but I'm gonna see if he has ever seen it before, and if he hasn't, then like you should check this out.
To put it on the show. Well, he's got something coming up tomorrow, which I don't know if it's going to be a art stream in the morning, but then up on Sunday, if you'd be like, yeah, just for like 13 minutes, 13 minutes of utter hilarity. It's going to show you, man. I mean, there's like the enemy's like space debris, and it's just crumpled up. I think I saw a roll of toilet paper flying. Oh man. Oh, dude. All right. Well, I got to tell you, Bruce, it's been fun, man. Impromptu stream. Let me know what you think of the clip that I sent you. It's remarkably brief. Like, it's literally just a transition clip from one scene to another, but I think you'll like it.
Brightest Day.
Right? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say Brightest Day just popped in the chat. It's good to see you here, Brightest Day. Thank you for showing up. We're getting ready to wrap up the stream here because it's almost 2 hours, and I don't want to go that deep into this. I'm not a quote-unquote huge Star Wars nerd nowadays. Most of you guys understand that. But I wanted to show some stuff as to what I feel Star Wars is. And it's Doomcock said today, he's like, it's a franchise that can still be saved. Well, of course it can. Mm-hmm. But until somebody's in control of it that I feel loves it, not the love of money, but he loves the franchise, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, his that was the last video that he made in regards to the change of command, so to speak. See, that's exactly it, right? I mean, man, it's hard to say because there's fans that are hurt badly, and I don't think that they'll ever come back. And then there are fans that are like, well, listen, like, I'm still, like, the love is there, and if it's, I'm willing to give it another shot if it changes, you know, for the better, right? Because I remember, like, seeing my friends when they watched the sequel trilogy, and the first one, they were like, yeah, you know, this is great, you know, The Force Awakens or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it's okay, man. You know, it's not nothing to phone home about, but he's a diehard fan, right? So for him, that was like throwing scraps of bread to a starving dog. You know what I mean? It's going to eat it. But then I eventually, like after the last one, he was just like, he tried, like you know, when you can see someone's trying to enjoy something and you know they're not.
Yeah.
And then that was just what it came down to. And by eventually, like, he almost had tears in his eyes. He was like, that was absolute shit. And I was like, yeah, man, you know. So one of the things that we usually do is we'll just watch The Empire Strikes Back. Again, be like, that is the one that we're watching in HD now. And it'll be like, let's rock and roll. Oh yeah, for Brightest Day, I was watching out his Zach 2 custom. Who was it? What the hell was the name of the character? I don't know. I just know it was a custom. It was one of the custom models.
He's been working on some Battlestar Galactica stuff too here lately. It looked like he had got one of the BSG models for the Galactica itself.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I didn't actually know which Zach model that was, because I was looking up Gundam Thunderbolt, the Psycho Zach, which was, man, that was a hard anime to watch, man. Like the guy who basically loses both his legs, and then they like basically he volunteers to have his arms amputated because that way he's able to plug in directly into the cockpit. And man,
Wow.
that was one of, like, I know people are like Iron-Blooded Orphans. That's a pretty rough Gundam, or EZ8, which is kind of like Vietnam meets Gundam. But man, that one, Gundam Thunderbolt, was really, really dark. Like,
I'll check it out. I've never watched. I won't say never. I've watched Macross Plus.
Favorite, all of it, man. That soundtrack is airtight.
I really enjoyed it. I thought Macross Plus kind of dropped the ball a little bit at the end, because it was, you know, just the very last thing you had to do is just
the AI.
Yeah, knock the AI out, and he just crashed right through the sitting piece there in the middle of the city, and that was it. But that was still like pretty good, because right before that she was singing and lulls him to sleep. And I don't know if you ever had one of those moments where you fall asleep on the road, but you wake up and like you're tired of thumping on that rumble strip. It scares the hell out of you.
The white knuckler. You're just like, ah!
Yeah. We're I'm next rec stop. I got to pull over. I got to find a McDonald's or Burger King or somewhere to pull over and
just
not
prep
prep
the coffee IV just straight into my vein. You know, like, all right, let's roll. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. No, that's a good one. What is it? The original 1996 Ghost in the Shell. Oh, dude, it's still like one of my apps.
You're gonna hate me for this, but I like the 2017 Ghost in the Shell too. It's not as good.
Like the movie or the series?
The movie. I haven't seen the series.
No, I liked it too. I mean, they really did. They really did they tried to capture it as best they could, and you can tell that. Like, I mean, visually it's there, but I mean, just speaking as a fan, like just the original animated version, you know, it's survived the test of time, so to speak. Like it's let me put it this way: for those of us that are in the areas where this is allowed, if you do an edible and you watch that, you're sitting pretty for a good hour and a half, because you'll be like, this is like an opera, but it's cyberpunk, and it's so like, I'm not even really sure I understand everything that's happening right now, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks amazing. And the 96 release came out. I watched that probably 5 or 6 times, because I had just moved out on my own for the second time. I'd gotten back from the military, stayed with mom and dad for a bit, did college, dropped college, got out on my own. My first roommate I had, big anime guy. He's like, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. You got to watch this. Fine. So we watch it. We watch it on a 13-inch color television. And I probably need to watch it again, because I've not watched on anything but a 13-inch color television. But
okay, well, just be aware though, there is the original. Like if you get onto, I think it's Netflix. There is the original, and then there's like a remade version that was made by the same director, but they've changed parts of it to, like, I don't know, okay, kind of like what they did with the original A New Hope, and then they kind of digitally enhanced certain things. You know, like when they do that, don't bother with that. Watch the original '96 version.
All right.
Okay, like the one that you watched. And I'm only saying that because they've put CG. If you try to input CG into Japanese anime style, if you don't do it just right, it looks like crap. So don't spoil the image. Just go with the original 1996 version, and it's still kicks ass, man. Hey, what's up, brother? Oh, damn it, you missed Hardware Wars.
Yeah, we just watched Hardware Wars, and I'm gonna have to get you that link so you can see it. But that was something from the old days, and I'd never seen it before because I didn't have the ability to watch it back then. So I watched it with Dastardly just now, and oh my god,
it's ridiculous. Like, it almost, like, you can tell it's like they were trying, but I don't think they were trying too hard. But they put the effort in.
It was an honest effort, at least.
Oh man, that was too good.
I want to wrap the stream up. That way we can, like, there's other people in the fandom that they can get their views in, and I want them.
Oh, absolutely. I think Ords is still. Yeah, he's still kicking ass.
He's a machine. That man is a machine.
Dude. Ords, you must go to the Dagobong hit system.
Anyway, Dastardly, cool. Are you going to be doing anything big this week before Sunday? Because I know I'll see you on Sunday with the Machiny 90s stream. No, wait, he's doing his 40, his finale for everything on Friday.
Right, and someone's got a birthday coming up. Machiny. This Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check the old calendar.
Yes,
I've got it listed on my calendar. I'm that kind of dedicated. Yeah, 7th. Well, we know what we're doing. So it'll be on Friday. This week, I'm just putting together the clips for my video. I've got to film 3 segments. So that's going to be me in the helmet and the green screen and everything. So basically, the principle is, or the principle for this one is, I don't know if you saw my first video, my first and only video, but that one was just done in the quarters. So I don't know. I can send you the link if I haven't. No Sunday stream afterwards going off. Good man, need a vacation.
Yeah, you need to get some time for yourself.
But this one is going to be, I've been ejected out into space. So I've got to do the floating thing with the green screen. So basically, you just put a green screen over everything, and then you just kind of make yourself look like you're kind of floating there, and then you're able to do some editing work. So it's going to be me floating in space and discussing aliens. So it should be. I'm hoping it's going to be funny. But
I can't wait to see this.
It's going to be. Hold on a second. I know I can find it on the front.
I also want to see what your thoughts are, because there's some people that are coming around to doing critiques and honest movie review of Starship Troopers 97.
Oh man, okay. So Starship Troopers, funny story about that. When we were in battalion, we only had 2 movies on VHS: Starship Troopers and Dumb and Dumber. How many times do you think we've seen those movies collectively? All right. Dude, the whole time we were on tour, when we were overseas, it was nonstop. Like, I'm doing my part too. And it's like, we're covered in shit and it was horrible. I've actually trauma blocked a great deal of that movie, but you get to work on it. Anyways, I sent a link to my alternate channel. So that's going to be appearing on that one. So yeah, you'll see that's going to be, so the first video was in the quarters, and I was discussing the Mars Defense Force, or it's the Royal Martian Navy from
The Expanse.
The Expanse, yeah. So this one's going to be the United States Colonial Marines. So the thing with the aliens is that there's not really much technical stuff to go on. Like it's not very tactical in that sense. So I'm going to point at this, but most of it's just going to be a love letter to the movie because it's so freaking awesome.
Have you read the book
Which one? The
Starship
Alien?
Troopers.
Oh, I have it on my phone. You know, like you can download books. It's
Yeah.
in there and it's good to go. And I've heard it's completely different and far better. So it's on my list.
It's far better, but it's not completely different. What they focus on with the movie is the prettiness of the actors and the lack of a real plot, I guess you'd say. I mean, the plot is there. We're going after
the bugs.
The bugs. But the book doesn't focus on that so much. The book focuses on this world building exercise that, as a veteran in '99, when I read the book finally, I was like, why can't I have this? That's a society I could get behind. You know, like,
okay, yeah. That is what somebody told me.
Everybody's got their, you know what you're doing. If you're a veteran, if you're a citizen, you know what your tasks are. If you're just a civvy and you're there wanting to get fucked and not have to worry about the burden of children, you can have a responsibility-less life.
Right. Yeah.
But you didn't pay for it. You didn't pay for anything around you, so you can have no responsibilities. But I fell in love with that book series, with that book, and I found an old Avalon Hill board game. I found some old production stills from '96 when they were filming it, and there were people that I got it from that, like, when they would talk about Starship Troopers, the movie, they would just run it into the ground because they hated it. They just beat the shit out of that movie. And I'm thinking, it's not that bad of a movie. If you take that movie, and this is not the book, this is just like a snippet of what happens in the book.
Right. Yeah, the book focuses on how the society functions predominantly, and the actual war with the bugs is like a small portion of that.
Yeah, it's almost like a side endeavor, or the B plot series of what happens when Johnny and his father meet after his mother got killed at Buenos Aires.
Right.
His dad joins the army with him, and so him and his dad are in the same squad. They have they're on the same squads. They go on the same operations together, and it's kind of cool. It doesn't really focus on him and his father's relationship so much after that, but his dad is there in the squad with him as one of his reliables. And whenever it introduces somebody, if they died, it'll say, this person died here at this point, which is kind of funny because it's a war movie, it's a war book, and every new character he introduces you to, he'll tell you about, like, where they died and how they died. And then it just goes on with whatever story.
Yeah, pretty impersonal. Well, okay, I know it's not his father, obviously, in the movie, but shout out to Michael Ironside, beating throat cancer and coming back to the game, who will hopefully be.
What's going on with Michael Ironside?
Oh, he had throat cancer, and he beat it, which is awesome. So hopefully he will be doing Splinter Cell 5, the voice of. My friends are going to beat the crap out of me because I can't remember his name now. Sam Fisher.
Yes, Fisher.
Yeah, so
he does a great Sam Fisher.
Yeah, he was the Sam Fisher for all but one. For all but the last game, because in the last game they had somebody else do it because he was fighting the illness. So if they can bring it back, it makes perfect sense. Splinter Cell 5, it's going to be out on PlayStation 5 with the return of Michael Ironside. You got to make it happen,
please. I played the first one on Xbox way back in 06.
That was some game changing, man. It was so good. You're just like, I'm going to hang from this tube, and I'm just going to shoot this guy over my shoulder, and I'm going to keep crawling through the dark. It was nuts.
Yeah. I was really impressed with it, and it kind of made me look at third-person shooters a lot differently than at the moment. We didn't have really other third-person games. We had Tomb Raider, of course, but that didn't have the amount of things going on that Splinter Cell had.
Yeah, like moving through the darkness, crawling, like the silent takedowns, like all of it, man. It's everybody always says it's like it's a shot between Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell. And I'm like, they're both really good, but they're both different for different reasons. Yeah. All righty. I'm going to sign out. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night.
Yeah, and I like it, but I don't want you to lose sleep or productivity tomorrow.
check out the video. Okay, so yeah, check out when I sent you the email. It'll take all of 5 seconds. And I sent you the link to my alternate website or my alternate channel, so you can see the first
Frontline
video I made.
Sci-Fi.
That's the one. Alrighty, so that is it. Senor Lombardo, take care of yourself.
Darth.
Thank you for having me on
Dasterdly.
the stream today.
Hey, thank you for coming in today, sir.
Absolutely. All right, you take care of yourself and be safe out there.
Thank you.
That
And
goes
thank
for you in the
chat.
chat as well.
Thank you for stopping by in the chat. For those of you, if you guys are watching us on the back end, we look forward to seeing you here Friday with Machni90 on his stream. It'll be his birthday stream and his final season 3 episode.
Damn right. And it's going to be extravagant. How? I do not know, but it will be.
It'll be nice.
Damn right.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.